this video is going to show you a Solar Master Nightfall getting Platinum rank on the Birthplace of the Vial on a Titan. For those who just want to see that, then skip the timestamps. Over that, I can show you the setup I used and the modifiers, etc. So the modifiers are Empath, Enhanced Radar, but you take increased damage from melee. Champions are Overload and Unstoppable. Equipment Locked, Match Game, Attrition. Champions Mob, Shielded Foes are Arc, Solar and Void. All three can be in this. Pole Harm, Acute, Void Burn. So this Pole Harm, this modifier rotates daily, I believe. Okay, so sometimes it's subtle foes, sometimes it's Weight of Darkness or whatever it's called. This actually rotates, which is an interesting thing. As for the Titan, so we're using a Devour Titan build. The weapon-wise, we're using the exotic grenade launcher Witherhoard, a last Perdition Void Pulse Rifle, and the rocket launcher Royal Entry Void weapons. As for our fragments and stuff, so the aspects are Bastion, Controlled Demolition, Vortex Grenade, Tower and Barricade, the Shield Throw. Aspects are Echo of Undermining, Echo of Expulsion, and a newish fragment, Echo of Starvation, which grants us Devour on the Titan. But don't sacrifice these two. So you want to rock these two and then take off Remnants that gives you increased longevity on the grenades, and then put this on, Echo of Starvation. As for our setup, we're using Heart of Inmost Light, the exotic chestplate, with double Void Resist on there. We're using a Void Elemental Well build, Font of Might, Font of Wisdom, Reap and Wellmaker, Volatile Flow, Overload Grenades, Loosen Finisher, Bomber on the class item, Rocket Launcher Scarf, GL Scarf, other things, Unstoppable Pulse Rifle, Font of Wisdom. Kinetic Siphon's the big mod, so rapid precision, rapid kinetic weapon, final blows create an orb of power. That's how we get our orbs. More information about all of this will be in the run itself, but that was the setup I used. So as we start the run, we'll summon our way to the start. There may be an abomination at the entrance, just be careful of that. You just want to sparrow all the way here. There's a drop, just be careful of the drop, that will wipe you. And then obviously the first two champions you're going to get are two overloads. Now we haven't got an overload weapon on, and there's good reason for that on a Titan, because ad clear is utmost important when you're at the boss fight. So that's why we've went with Witherhoard. There's other things I could have chose, but I went with Witherhoard for that reason. So we'll get a stun here. Hopefully get stunned eventually, which you did. Then we can use one rocket. That's generally what I'll do. Sometimes I'll double rocket a champ, sometimes I'll just do one rocket and then go for the finisher for the loosened to get more heavy, obviously, because that's why I've got that mod on. So with this build, Heart of Inmost Light, how does it work? Well, you cycle through your abilities essentially between your grenade, your shield throw, and your barricade. It's important that you don't go the other melee ability, the shoulder charge one, because you can't utilise that behind cover. You can utilise this one behind cover, and it's okay, this shield throw, because it attaches detonators to all the adds. So if you get a good throw on a bulk of adds, it'll work out really good, and you get the health regen when you kill that ad. Because how it works is when an ad is attached, you're going to get that health regen. Attrition's on. So that means your health regen is impaired only when you pick up wells, not elemental wells, but restorative wells from the enemies. Which is an okay modifier, but it's badly designed because it's only okay on certain classes, for example, Warlock. However, it's okay on the Titan. You can get by with the Bastion aspect. Obviously, that's what I'm using right now. So this is where we're doing DPS, or damage from. As you can bait all the adds around here, take the Unstoppable, and then it's just a mini boss from there. So it's pretty easy to take from here. Just be careful of the snipers. I'm getting stuck on this rock. That's what's happening right here. Now we can deal with the Ultra, because everything else is taken care of. Just obviously, it's important to be cycling your abilities as much as possible. You'll see on the left hand side what you're getting regen for, and you get the ×2, you know, so Just pay attention to how many barricades I'm getting and stuff like that. My resilience is tier 7, which is not bad of a resilience, but I would have liked a little bit higher. But I'll farm out a resilience set for the Titan, which I deleted all my resilience sets ages ago, because resilience wasn't important, but now it is important again. On a Titan it is, at least. So with the first plate capture, we're going to use a super and just guard with it. This is going to give us plate progress. So I'm just using my super for that. Then when that's empty, we'll back up. Now I know that you can basically clear out all the ads. Eventually they stop spawning. You can then capture the plate. However, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sit back. I'm going to show off the Devour for the Titan. And sort of cycle in and out of the plate like I did on the Warlock, where you're cycling, you know, back and forth. Obviously Devour's king on the Warlock still. You know, people are going on about, you know, the Hunter and the Titan getting Devoured, but at the end of the day, the Warlock's far superior to these two classes for Devour. I know you can get it, but you've got to then start, you know, putting kinetic siphon on or matching your energy weapon. It's like this in solo play. You can't always match your weapon, your energy weapon, because there's match game shields for solo, and you're there to take them all out. Now I know I'm running all void weapons, but this is only master. GM's different. I'll have to start matching some burns. You know, so if I'm using void subclass, a solar energy, and then an arc heavy, where am I getting the rapid? Where am I getting the energy weapon kills for orbs? I'm not getting it. So then you're going to have to rely on maybe a kinetic siphon, and that only works on some, you know, weapons. If you're just using a standard old hand cannon in the kinetic slot, it's not going to do you so well. You're not going to get the orbs, so that Devour's going to be less efficient then. You know, so it's still going to be king on the Warlock because you can activate it via your void abilities, which I feel as though they should have just given. Should have just maybe give it up. There should have been another way of getting Devoured other than an orb. I don't know. There should have been something else. Because I mean, I guess that's why. It would have been a little bit better if we could make orbs via our weapons with taking charge with the masterwork stat. But I guess it is what it is. But that's the plate captured, as you can see. They eventually stop spawning. You'll know when the screams stop spawning. As I said, if you want to take the slower approach, just take the ads from behind the plate. That's fine, and then they'll stop spawning. You can then capture the plate and you're good from there. There's ads to your left on this cliff area, so we'll take these out first before you push up. Just pay attention to your health, because you won't be getting health regen, so you pop from barricades, stuff like that. The pulse rifle that you see here will be actually doing better than you'd think, mainly because you're getting a plus 25% to void damage, and it's taking advantage of volatile rounds, stuff like that. But it's a workhorse, this pulse. It's a very good pulse in the void energy slot, so I highly recommend a Perdition if you've got one. It's better than likes of like Grid Skipper and stuff like that, because like fast fire RPM pulses aren't good in PvE. Don't be using either high impact or adaptive frames are your go-tos. Not the rapid fire. They don't do enough damage. They do a lot of you know, stagger and stuff, but they're not doing the damage that these pulses do. So what I'm doing here is going to get a stun on the Instartable, double rocket the champ. That will leave the champ one shot. We'll finish the champ off. The key for this section is clearing out as many yards as you can before you go over there, because when you go over there, you're going to be within range distance of the champ, the overload, to then tether all the enemies. The less enemies there is to tether, the easier that section's going to be for you. So we can sort of push up a little bit. I haven't quite got my grenade yet. I'll get a grenade as I peek the champ. Notice I didn't peek the champ until I was 100% ready for that. I used a super here, I probably didn't need to. I probably would have been better using it on the next part. I would have been better just double rocketing this champ, so just take a note of that. Probably save a super and use it in the next room that's coming up. Fill up on any heavy that you get. I was getting a lot of drops, obviously because my rocket launcher has field prep, clown cartridge, and I have rocket launcher finder on. Rocket launcher finder and the scavenger stacks with field prep. So field prep is a top tier perk for rockets. End of discussion with it. So make sure that if you do have a field prep rocket style type rocket, you keep hold of it. No matter what the rocket is. Obviously roll entry is really good because it's got tracking built within it. So it's got tracking and it's got the benefit of, you know, other stuff. Whereas likes of Hothead, yeah, it does more damage and stuff, but it hasn't got tracking built in. You've got to get it as a perk. And not only that, it's void. So I'm going to use, you know, it's plus 25% of void damage. So I'm going to use a void rocket to take advantage of that. On this section here, you want to try and spawn kill all the ads that come out by using a nade Witherhoard. And we'll post up a barricade here at the entrance. See if we can get any ads before we come in here. Use a rocket. I'm not sure what burn that captain was, but you can get different burns in here from what it looks like. Sometimes you can get an arc captain, solar, or void. It seems random. A couple of runs I've done where it's different burn. We can still penetrate the match game shield because of how much damage void does. That's why I didn't bother with the arc and the solar. Now this, you know, Nightfall's come out. I tried to burst down this overload. I was a second too late, unfortunately. So we'll retreat. That's fine. And we'll take out some of the stasis scorn that pushes. There's a couple of snipers. I believe the overload actually is a sniper. So he catches us here in a minute. So just be careful of these void snipers. But it's the overload champ himself. There might be two actually, I'm not sure if there's two snipers up there. So I'm just checking to see if the ads are tethered. They're not. So I'm going to put a Witherhoard over there to try and clear out some of the ads. One thing to note, when you clear out all the ads, if you haven't cleared the overload actually backs up. This is common in a lot of things with design where champions are more confident when there's a lot of ads surrounding them. If you clear a room, whatever room it might be, in any strike, the champion's behaviour changes, they back up. It's not just true for this one, it's true for all of them. They all change, the AI of them. Whether it's intended or not, I'm not sure, probably. But it's just to know that. But it's actually in our best interest because now you've got a vantage point. So we leave with a grenade. The grenade does two things. It clears out that tether, that immunity tether that they do. It clears that out, and it stuns them, debuffs them, so we can double rocket. I just double rocket that champ, just to get rid of him. There was a solar shield, so there was two chieftains there. There was one void, one solar. Now sometimes it can be one solar, one arc. I've had that, so there's a bit of RNG with the elemental shields there. So I'll go through the portal. This is just teaching you how the boss mechanics are going to work. Between phases you'll come to this area. So you'll firstly get an initial set of screebs for raiders. You then have that little jumping puzzle to do, and then again 4 raiders and a couple of screebs. The spawns are identical. Then you have an overload champion at the very end. Use the pulse here, just because I've got volatile. This pulse is putting in a lot of work. It's got rangefinder, rampage. Rangefinder is really good on a pulse because the pulse has got a 10% damage bonus, right? But not only that, when you fight him from a long distance, which generally you are in Grandmasters, if you are using, you know, a pulse as your main primary, then having more range on that pulse is only beneficial. I've used this pulse for ages. When it was anti-barrier pulse, stuff like that in previous seasons, so it works out really well, this role. Just going to keep spawn killing these screeps from here with Witherhoard. And then we're ready for this unstoppable overload, sorry. We haven't got our grenade yet, so we can't stun the champ. So I'm going to have to pop a barricade. What I'll do is I'll get closer to the champ so I can take advantage of the barricade with the overshield. So I've got an overshield while I deal with him. Wait for our Grenade energy, which you can see, just charged it. Well, as soon as we peak the champ grenade, as soon as possible. So notice I didn't peak him until I was ready, because if you peak the champ, he starts aggroing you before I'm ready. Because the champ will just sit there. If he doesn't know where you are, he might put a tether point up, but other than that, he'll just sit there. So, no, little things like that helps out. Now we've got the 2 capture zones. I probably played this little section here slower than what I need to. Actually made it worse for me, because I needed to back up here. I also could have used a super, but I was wanting to use the super for the plate. Bear in mind, this was my first run with this setup for the Titan. So this setup works out really well, especially for the boss fight, just because the boss fight doesn't have infinite adds. It doesn't. After so long on a particular phase, there's 3 phases. After so long, the adds will stop spawning. But it's quite a long time till that happens. So you need good ad clear, because there's tons of adds keep spawning up and up. It's like Hallelujah in terms of that, but the only thing my complaint now, I've been playing this Nightfall quite a few times, is everything's good about it. Okay? The boss fight's good, but the room's too small. I don't know why we're still doing these small boss rooms. Okay, the room is just way too small. There's no real good vantage point. I like the fact that we have to cycle around the room. I like that. But it's too small, the room. It needs to be bigger. Like, all these strike rooms should be bigger. I don't know why we're taking this approach of all the rooms should be smaller. Therefore, you get more interesting gameplay because of that. It doesn't work out like that. What ends up happening in-game is you resort to the best class for that ad clear, which will be Warlock. In terms of for your solo, for your team, it's going to be Hunter with the tethers, because you can just tether, get your tether back. You know, so it's kind of like you then gravitate to what's the best for that room. So now I'm having to play around the room, not what I'm wanting to play with, if that makes sense. Make the rooms bigger, okay? For the future strikes, when we get for all the new expansions, make these boss rooms bigger than what they are. We need to go bigger, not smaller. If they want to make it so that we have to play close to the boss, that's fine. Make it so that, you know, the boss is a bit more unique in that he pushes you a bit more and stuff like that. But at least give us a little bit of room to work with, because the boss room coming up, as I said, I've been playing with it more on other classes. It's too small for what it is. When you capture the plates so far, halfway I would say, you will then get a Void Shielded Chieftain. We'll use a super for that. Or you could have used a rocket. I could have used a rocket and that pretty much one-shots them. Depending on whether you're at power or not. Obviously I'm above power. If you're below 1571, you will then have adds as sword icons. That means they do more damage to you and stuff like that. You're under level for the activity basically. If you are like that, if you're below that power, then don't bother trying to solo this, because then you're sort of trying to solo like a Grandmaster-esque Nightfall. And you don't want to be doing that yet, because Grandmasters aren't even out, so you want to rest before that even comes up. You know, so just do it in a team if that's the case. If you're above that power, then you can start to have a go at soloing it. That's my advice on it. So on plate 2, we want to try and spawn kill adds as best as we can. Plate 2 is easier because adds spawn, they don't spawn behind you for the most part, it's in front of you and to your right. So we can use Witherhoard, grenades, rockets to spawn kill a lot of these adds. He's our chieftain, notice he spawns in right in front of you. That's good. We use a rocket this time because we haven't got the super. We'll cycle our abilities. We've got a Void Overshield. Notice how easy this plate is to capture. The plate is then captured, there was a screen behind us, and then we're good. It seems as though there is infinite adds here, but I would like to test this as well. I'm not 100% if there is infinite adds. I would like to say there probably isn't, because there isn't infinite adds at plate 1, there isn't infinite adds at the boss. Like there's a lot of ad spawns, but eventually they do run out. So I would assume, I haven't tested it, but I would assume on this section there's probably a certain amount of ads after so long it will stop spawning. If anyone's tested it, let me know. But I'm gonna assume that. But on the master, obviously we did our setup. We don't need to do that. We can sit on the plate, use our barricade for the overshield, and we can sort of capture it anyways. Fill up on any heavy from this room. Don't forget, even if you had like heavy from the unstoppables earlier and you finished them, go back for that heavy. We'll use a grenade here. I'll use a Witherhoard. The grenade and a Witherhoard alone done enough damage to kill the champ, which was really good. Witherhoard's still an exceptional weapon. If you can ever use it for sure. And I believe when you're doing Grandmaster in a team, at least one person with a Witherhoard on, or even Anarchy or something, is going to be really good, just because of its ad clear potential at the boss fight. Because as I said, that's going to be critical. Most people are going to be able to do the GM for this up until the boss, and then that's going to give. I can see that giving people heartache. But at the same time, you can play it safe for solo and for team, which I'll get into when we get there. This is another room that you'll see. You'll also see these at the boss fight. There's stasis enemies that push. Just be aware of that. Make sure they don't freeze you while you mid-jump from platform to platform. That can happen. It's possible. I'm not using my grenade here. It's tempting, but I'm going to use it for the overload coming up at the top of the stairs. Be careful, because the overload can snipe you from here. He's a sniper, and they do obviously the additional damage because it's 50% damage you take from them. I've got double void resist on. You do survive it, but without double void resist you wouldn't. See the snipe? I get the stun though with the grenade. I'll just double rocket the champ to forget, because our ammo is healthy. We'll go through the portal, and then we're sort of near the boss fight now. What I would say with this section is kill the initial ads that push. There's an initial set of ads that are pushing, you can see. Some stasis and stuff like that. Yeah, and all the ads that push you take out. There'll be some ads immune, because there's 2 overloads here to take out. And what you want to do is find a better angle. It's all about your angles. Now this doorway is no good to you. Okay, so push up here. And now you can you've got the height advantage. You can look to see which champ you want to take first. This champ wasn't tethered, so take the opportunity, use a super. I Witherhoard first as well to guarantee the kill on the unstoppable, and then it's just one. Now we've just got one unstoppable, one overload. Sorry, I keep saying unstoppable. We'll do a barricade up here for increased regen to our grenade, because we need obviously a grenade on this champ. This build's good, having with the Witherhoard and stuff. Where it falls down is the fact I haven't got an overload weapon, which is something I'm not really a fan of. But despite of how the boss fight works, Witherhoard comes in handy with the kinetic siphon. It means I can go Devour. Just bear in mind though, the Devour setup doesn't work. Here's another flaw to what I was on about with this fragment. You can't use Devour if you have a fully charged super, because when you can't pick up an orb when you have a fully charged super. That's an oversight. That's what I was saying. Like, I should be able to go Devour, you know, because sometimes I might not want to use my super there and then. There might be another critical moment when I want to do so. So just bear that in mind when you get to the boss fight. Is you need to be using that super pretty much as soon as you get it, or you know, if you need to Devour there and then you know you need to be using it. So you've got 2 ultras here to take, 2 chieftains, which you can take them out easily enough from here. They're void shielded. We've got a void on for that, so we don't need to waste rockets on the chieftain. I'm checking as well to see how many ammo bricks we're getting here, because I end up getting quite a couple. So I'm going to double rocket the 2 champs. I've decided. They're both, well, I can get them both finishable, so I could have loosened finished them if I wanted to. It would just mean I leave them up. They have a range drop off. The ad itself, the champ. So within, you know, 70 meters or whatever, they can't shoot at you. Within 40 meters, they can start to sense you and then shoot at you, or do their finger blast attack, wherever it is. You just need to be aware of that, you know, when you're pushing up. Like this unstoppable, he's pushing over to the left. Just keep an eye on him. Generally, this Ultra will push up a little further. He didn't for some reason. Probably de-aggroed because a lot of the ads and the champ. I think maybe that's because I killed the first unstoppable. Because one of the Warlock run, that chieftain was pushing me with the tethers and stuff like that. So that's another interesting change. If you clear out unstoppables, the Ultra de-aggroes. See, I feel as though the stuff that I'm mentioning here now, not to sort of big myself up, I'm not. Because there's a lot of aspects to my gameplay I need to improve upon. Okay, so just know that first of all, before I say this. But I feel as though there's nowhere in Destiny, like there's nowhere anybody covering like AI in this game, like how do ads work. Although there's loads of people out there that know how it works, they just choose not to tell you, or they can't be bothered to tell you. And I used to get fed up about that because it's been out for years. Obviously, this whole thing, even since D1 days, there's no one sort of telling you. You know, it's as if they're keeping it to themselves. Whereas obviously I'm not doing that. I'm doing the exact opposite. I'm basically exposing all the strats, what to do, what not to do. So as we start, obviously there's an overload to deal with. I chose not to take the overload straight away, but rather clear out some of the ads. I'm going to use a super E as well because I can't get Devour to proc, as I was saying earlier. So we'll use that because then when we want to start getting our Devour chain, and we can do that. So I may as well make use of the super, do a bit of damage to the boss, do some ad clear, because you need to keep an eye on those ads, you need to keep on top. The overload's still up. Now what happens with this overload? Well, eventually the overload will start to push you and stuff like that. But not at first. The overload will hang around at the backside of the map. So that means, you know, the backside of the map's safe-ish. It's not entirely safe because you've got all these stalkers and stuff. The stalkers push, they're melee-based ads. Melee-based ads are very dangerous in this, if not maybe more dangerous than the boss, because of Empath. You take increased damage from melee, and it's substantial. It's not like Blackout, but it's very similar to, you know, it's a nerfed Blackout, if you remember what Blackout is. Notice now the overload's pushing us. This is a problem. I haven't got my grenade, so I'm going to cycle around the map. Obviously I'm full health, so I'm pretty safe as long as I keep cycling around. That's the biggest thing with it. We can do Witherhoard, you know, behind us as the ads are trailing. He clears a lot of those out. Helps us out. The boss will keep putting up his tether immunities every now and then. A lot of ads will surround the boss when that happens. We'll get a nade here. And then a stun on the champ. One rocket. The one rocket and the grenade clutched. We just got there. We were, to be fair, I was very weak there. So I think the best tip to take from this is to try and spawn kill that overload as you get here. What I should have done is just relied, mage, you know, grenaded, and then used my super. Because the boss is going to make that overload immune as we start this fight. But the super, the Roman super, will penetrate that tether. It penetrates immunity damage. All Roman supers do this. It's not just a thing for Sentinel. So now we're in control of the room, and that's your biggest thing, is getting in control of this room. There'll be a random ad spawn, middle, top, mid, left or right. You just need to pay attention to that. Don't try to just focus only boss damage. That's where your downfall is going to be. If you just like, right, I can melt the boss down now, I'm good. You're not. You're never good. You're never good here because it's attrition. So you need to stay on top with the ads. Void nades as well. Like if you get void naded, you need to jump out of that immediate. Luckily there's no snipers. The only sniper, I think there's a sniper on phase 1. He's been killed already before. But other than that there's no snipers. So that's a good thing. That's one good thing. So boss is pretty weak to one cycle. We'll just get a reload here. use these pillars left and right. These are basically your safe havens. We'll let Witherhoard do some work. I'm not willing to use my grenade or anything, or rockets, as the boss is literally one shot. Notice there's no more ads spawning, so that's just showing you there isn't infinite ads at this fight. Okay, so that's how you would have to play this on Grandmaster. You'd have to keep cycling the room, add clear, add clear, add clear, then boss damage. You would leave boss damage until the very, very end, until there's no more ads, and that's like that per phase. But the hardest thing is the start of the phase, because you've got that champ. Now on the first phase it's overload, second phase is unstoppable, third phase it's overload again. So this is the room that we saw earlier. It's the same spawns. We've already been taught this. It's the Screebs, 4 raiders, then you got that mini jumping puzzle, again 4 raiders, because there's 2 and then 2 don't push, right? And then it's the Screebs again. So try and take out the 2 raiders at the very least. Then when we jump to this block here, you get the spawn of Screebs. So we use a Witherhoard. When I jump over there, I'm going to use a grenade, because when I jump over there, the 2 raiders will push what? So they push just as I get here. So I use a grenade Witherhoard. Spam your grenade as much as you can, because it's such a powerful ability. And the fact that we've got Heart of Inmost Light means we can. Right? It means we can spam our grenade and our barricades quite often. Now I know I haven't got Echo of Remnants on, which gives you increased duration for like lingering effect on your grenade and stuff, which is a good mod, but I feel as that's more appropriate for the Warlock. I think on the Titan, because of how the Titan works with the detonators, you really don't need that mod so much. Like, it's handy if you can put it on, but if you need Devour at any time, get that Remnants off, get the Echo of Starvation on, and that way you've got a Devour Titan. You just need to have, as I said earlier, have a setup with that. You know, have a matching energy weapon that's void. So you can have the, you know, that's only +1 for the helmet. Or you go Kinetic Siphon, which is a +3. So you have to sacrifice an ammo finder, but that's fine because you've got Lucent Finisher on. So Kinetic Siphon is a very good mod. Obviously, it's not as good as what we had with the Masterwork Orbs, but it's the next best thing, and it works well on Witherhoard, obviously. So we're full on heavy. I probably should have waited out my grenade. I wasn't quite on my grenade there. So you can actually wait in that room until you get your super and stuff like that. This phase, it's a unstoppable. Now the unstoppable can either spawn, it seems to be random. It seems to be either right side or top mid, but I haven't done this Nightfall enough to know. But I do know the unstoppable doesn't spawn the same location, which is an annoyance to me. You're not 100% on where that spawn is. But we'll get a nade here. And then that's why we use a super. The super's critical for the first couple of seconds of a phase, because it deals with the champ. Right? So that's where we use it. Now we're in control again. But notice the ad spawns are different. So now you've got different types of ads that melee you. Right? I don't think there's stasis on this. The stasis adds on phase 3, which makes it tough. Try to keep on top of ad spawns. I'm not doing a good job of it right now, not so much. Witherhoard will actually deal with the tether as well that the boss puts up, so that's handy to know. We'll do a bit of burst damage here, right? But I'm not fully committing to damage because we want to keep on top of ads. I was going to rotate, but we'll just stay here, let all the ads come in. There's no tether up as well. This is what makes Witherhoard so good, because these ads, as I said, they do insane damage to you when they melee you, just because of the mod, which won't be on for Grandmaster, but they'll do insane damage to you anyways if they melee you on Grandmaster. So you never want an ad meleeing you at all. So you can sort of Witherhoard spawn kill them behind these pillars. We'll do another 2 more rockets. Get a barricade down. Just keep cycling our abilities as much as possible. If anything with this video, you're going to learn how to survive a bit more. Because Obviously, Void Walkers you go to. Warlock, Void Walker is your go-to subclass for this Nightfall because of how it works. Because of how quickly you can get your grenade. More quickly than you can on a Titan. And the fact that Devour, as I was saying earlier, Devour procs from Void abilities, whereas Devour doesn't proc like that for Titans or Hunters. You need to sort of build out to make it work. Which is hence why I went with a Witherhoard setup. So this is that room again that we saw earlier with the stasis. So eventually they push. The stasis adds will push you. If you stay up top, eventually all four, I think there's 4 of them or something in total. Because our rockets are low, I can get a Lucent Finisher on the Overlord, but I'm actually going to clear out the full room. Just in hopes that I get more heavy, because the more heavy I have for phase 3, the better it's ultimately going to be. See, the stasis ad, he was going to push, but then well, he pushes again actually. The Overlord as well at the back of the map can't snipe you from here, but when you get closer, obviously you can. So you're safe for now until you push up. Use another one of those stasis. I'll use a Witherhoard here. Try and do damage that way. Notice I rarely run out of Witherhoard. Mainly because I've got the GL Scavenger on, stuff like that, and its ammo goes really far. Like, per shot, it does a lot of damage. It does a lot of ad clear. So it's just, obviously, you know, when it comes to ad clear, it's very good that way. A waveframe grenade launcher would be very good in this as well. Maybe the Void one. I forget the name of it. I've actually got it in my vault. That would work out good in this, so you could go a Void waveframe grenade launcher with the rocket, and then a kinetic pulse. And that loadout would work out really well. It's very similar to this actually. And you get the benefits of Void from your waveframe. So we'll put a barricade up first. I don't trust this Overlord. We'll get the stun. I'm trying to now get the finisher, which I do, and it registers as the finisher kill, I believe. So then I get the heavy, so I'm 6 rockets. That's good. We're actually going to waste a rocket because I want to have double rockets. I want to have 2 loaded. You know, 5 rockets is more than enough for the phase 3. Now what I'm waiting on is a grenade, because as I said earlier, the final champ on the rotation is Overlord. We haven't got Overlord weapon on, so I need the grenade before I go through that portal. You can do this on a team as well. If you're waiting out supers, a Tether, a Bubble, wherever you use, a Well of Radiance, you can wait there, wait for your super, and then go with the final phase. I'm looking to see where the Overlord spawns. He spawns middle. My nade is missed, or it's shot. I don't know if I missed it or it was shot out of the air, which it can be shot. The boss can actually shoot your nade out of your hand. So we've missed our nade, which is a critical phase. So now I'm going to have to improvise a little bit. So I'll get a barricade down, Witherhoard at my feet. Try and get a stun. The Overlord has jumped out my grenade, which is not a good thing. And weeks after use a super. So this final phase didn't go so well for me. Not only that, you've got a Void Shielded Chieftain. So at the very least, I did take out that Chieftain, because you don't want the because that way you've got 3 Scorn actually doing Tethers there. The boss does it, the Overlord does it, and the Chieftain does the solo ones. So it's a lot going on at once. So that's why this phase 3, if you like, is very dangerous. I'm tethered here, but I'll try and run out of that. There's a couple of ads up, raiders and stuff. So we'll keep cycling. This is another opportunity. We get the stun this time, thankfully, and then we'll just double rocket. That's why I go the double rocket here. Just because the one rocket, it is enough to sort of kill them, but not quickly. You know, you need to keep rotating. So just being able to rocket the champ twice is handy to you for this. Now this room's under control, so now it's just now we're just back to the ad spawns. The boss is weak, but we're not. As I said, I'm not going to commit too much yet because there's all these stasis. If I overcommit to damage, I could get frozen, and then all the ads could just melee me, and I could die. It could be just as simple as that. So I don't want that happening yet. I just want to sort of multitask by clearing all the ads. Clearing all the ads, and then, you know, doing damage in between. I don't have any ability there, so I was playing cautiously. We've got our barricade back. We'll get some boss damage in here again. There's a couple more ads up here, not too many though. Sometimes the boss can actually stomp you. Like, he could have stomped me there, I was quite lucky. Just be careful when you use Witherhoard like that at your feet, because you take impact, you take self-inflicted damage from Witherhoard, so that's what happened to me, and actually nearly wiped me, so just be careful when you use Witherhoard that way. Get a bit more damage. There was ads behind me, I noticed, so I could have done another rocket, but I just sort of cycled round. Get the next wave of ads. Now we're just waiting on the boss. Get our boss damage in. But that was the Solar Master for the Titan. Not as easy as the Warlock, but still doable obviously with this setup. Hope you enjoy, thank you.
The worm breeding ground is clear of swarm. For now, anyway.
They'll be back, I'm sure. But your efforts continue to hold them off.